let's get rolling here. Madam Vice Chair, you ready to roll? Let's go. Okay, well, let's start. We have a withdrawal, and so Senate Bill 384 from Senator Watson and Carrozza is being withdrawn. So let's, is there a motion to move unfavorable on the withdrawn? Got a motion from the Vice Chair, second from sponsor. All in favor of the withdraw unfavorable, raise your hand. Okay, all opposed. That bill has now formally been withdrawn, Senate Bill 384. Let's skip around here a little bit. Let's go to Senate Bill 99. Senator Kagan, Stacy.
Senate Bill 99, Open Meetings Act, County Boards of Education, Enhanced Requirements, Local Boards of Education Transparency Act. This bill makes local boards of education and the Baltimore City Board of School Commissioners subject to enhanced requirements under the Open Meetings Act. Specifically, it requires each local board of education and the Baltimore City Board of School Commissioners to make publicly available on its website the agenda and minutes of each meeting and a live video stream of each portion of a meeting held in open session. The bill also requires each local board of education and the Baltimore City Board of School Commissioners to maintain on its website a complete and unedited archived video recording of each open meeting where video streaming was made available for a minimum of 5 years after the date of the meeting. There is some amendments in your packet. These are offered by Senator Kagan, and they start on page, let's see here, on page 10, and the reprint starts on page 12. What these amendments would do is clarify that the streaming is only required for meetings held at a county board headquarters or wherever the board held at least 5 meetings during the immediately preceding calendar year, allows video archives to be edited for purposes of removing incidents of pornography or an obscene event or a violation of a student's privacy, and requires notification of the editing to the Open Meetings Law Compliance Board, and allows for use of a third-party provider to view and store recorded video footage such as YouTube. There was no opposition.
Okay, Senator Kagan, your amendments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We worked with MABE, had multiple conversations with them, the Maryland Association of Boards of Education, and this is very, very similar but not identical to all the other Kagan-Corman laws that we've enacted over the years to increase transparency through posting meeting minutes, agendas, meeting materials, live streaming, archiving, and all that. We did make allowances to the reality of at school board meetings. There could be personal identifying information or pornography or something that might come up, and we want to protect our students. And so that's why we added additional information, but site visits, field meetings, all that, as with others, we don't expect them to be needing to live stream, and so that's the allowance we put in there. So with that, I move the amendments.
Okay, questions for the sponsor, Senator Carrozza, on the amendments.
Okay, thank you. I was going back through the testimony, and I know there were, MABE had proposed some amendments that you just mentioned. You worked with them, and PZAM had as well. And did you say what you ended up working through with these amendments was a combination or a kind of a consensus amendments on these, or?
There was one thing that that was requested that we pushed back on, but everything else we said was reasonable. The one thing that we pushed back on is they said if we know that we're meeting just for purposes of going into a closed meeting, which is exempted for all departments and agencies and boards of elections and everything as we've done over the years, they said, can we kind of not need to live stream? The State Board of Elections is the analogy that I've given, and they convene, they take a quorum call, they approve the minutes from the last meeting, and then they announce that they want to go into closed session. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Is there a vote? And then they announce, we're not going to be coming back. This is a closed meeting. Have a nice day. Bye. And then they stop the recording. And that's the same thing we think is really reasonable for Board of Ed meeting. Thank you.
Okay, additional questions for Senator Kagan on the amendments? And we have a motion favorable on the amendments. Is there a second? Second from Senator Brooks. Okay, discussion? All in favor of the Kagan amendments on Senate Bill 99, raise your hand. All opposed, the motion carries. We now have Senate Bill 99 as amended before us. Is there a motion?
Favorable on the bill as amended.
Okay, the vice chair moves favorable on the bill as amended. Second from Senator Watson. Okay, discussion? All in favor of Senate Bill 99 as amended, raise your hand. All opposed, motion carries unanimously. April, let's go to Senate Bill 108.
Senate Bill 108, Environment, Water Resources, and Wetlands Enforcement. This departmental bill authorizes the Department of the Environment to impose an administrative penalty for a violation of provisions of the Environment article relating to the appropriation and use of waters, reservoirs, and dams, as well as wetlands and riparian rights. The bill also expands MDE's authorization to use administrative orders for violations related to waterway construction and dam safety, standardizes related administrative notice and hearing procedures, and specifies that under existing civil penalty provisions relating to wetlands and riparian rights, each day is a separate violation. There are no amendments.
Okay, this is Senate Bill 108 clean. There are no amendments. Any questions for April on this piece of legislation? Senator Hester.
I had a long conversation with MDE earlier this week. They sent me an email that's like 6 pages long, and also an example of a noncompliance letter. I haven't had time to read it, so I'd just like to ask for a hold.
We're going to hold Senate Bill 108. Next, we're going to go to Senate Bill 150.
Senate Bill 150.
And let me add this one, finances in the two spot, the secondary. Okay, back to you, Devin.
Senate Bill 150, Notation of Veteran Status, Public Profiles. This bill expands existing authority related to the indication of veteran status on licenses, certificates, or registrations under the purview of the Maryland Department of the Environment, the Department of General Services, and each unit in the Maryland Department of Labor by authorizing these entities to also include a notation indicating veteran status on a person's public profile. This bill also makes a technical correction and provisions that authorize health occupation boards to include veteran status on a public profile, hence the secondary assignment to finance. And as the chair said, finance is secondary on this bill.
Senate Bill 150, I'm sorry, we don't have any amendments.
No amendments, no opposition.
Okay, Senate Bill 150. Any discussion, questions, comments? Senator Simonaire? Senator Simonaire moves favorable on Senate Bill 150. Second from Senator Harris. Discussion? Okay, all in favor, Senate Bill 150 clean, raise your hand. All opposed, that bill carries unanimously. Let's go next to Senate Bill 203. April?
Senate Bill 203, Environment, Lead Paint Abatement Services, Performance Bond, and Liability Insurance. This departmental bill authorizes the Maryland Department of the Environment to adopt regulations requiring any person accredited by MDE to provide lead abatement services to be covered by a reasonable performance bond or reasonable liability insurance. There are no amendments.
Okay, Senate Bill 203. Okay, Senator Washington moves favorable. Vice Chair second. Discussion on Senate Bill 203. No amendments. Okay, all in favor, Senate Bill 203, raise your hand. Okay, all opposed. Senate Bill 203 carries unanimously. Let's go to the Kagan-Reedy bill, which is a highly unusual sponsor line, but it's a good sponsor line, bipartisan. Okay, Senate Bill 204.
Senate Bill 204, Public Schools, Maryland Civic Excellence Program established. The bill establishes the Maryland Civic Excellence Program in the Maryland State Department of Education as a voluntary program in which local school systems may recognize students in public schools that promote the civic readiness and civic engagement of students in public schools. By the 27-28 school year, MSDE, in consultation with experts and stakeholders, must develop guidelines to assist participating local school systems to determine student proficiency in civics and civic literacy. A local participating school system that determines the student has fulfilled the criteria under the program may award the student a seal of civic excellence and recognize the award by awarding a cord or medal or by attaching other insignia on the student's high school diploma. There is one amendment offered by the sponsor, which is co-sponsors. There is a long list here. Senator King, McKay, Attar, Alonzo Washington, Senator Harris, Mary Washington, Senator Carrozza, Lewis Young, Hedelman, Will Smith, Don Guile, Jeff Waldstreicher, Chris West, and Sarah Love. Have all, and wait, you're not on this list, but let's see. Juana Watson,
Okay, we got Watson,
Hester.
Gallion.
You want on this list? You
Esther.
want at the party? Yeah, Gallion.
Party.
Brooks,
Am I on there?
you are not on there.
Okay, Feldman will go on there along with Simon
Feldman and Simon Ayer.
Yep.
Okay. So the State Board of Education has also sent this afternoon, kind of late, some proposed amendments. Essentially, what it would just do is it would make sure that the department itself established actual regulations about how to structure the program instead of guidelines, so that it was consistent across the state. So those are the changes that would be made. I don't have anything for you at this time because it came in kind of
Anything you
late.
want to add to what Stacy described on these?
I regret that it came in late, but I'm fine. I have reviewed them. Stacy and I talked about it briefly, and I think they're fine and keep the essence of the bill the same. Make it a little better.
Okay, why don't we just, we can put the sponsor amendments and these late arriving into one vote unless somebody wants to separate them out. Anybody want to separate them out? Okay. Does anybody want to move all that group of amendments? Senator
the amendments.
Senator Kagan moves, second from Senator Harris. Okay, all in favor of that package of amendments, raise your hand. All opposed, motion carries. We've got the bill, Senate Bill 204 as amended in front of us. Favorable as amended from the sponsors, second from Senator Harris. Discussion, all in favor of Senate Bill 204 as amended, raise your hand. All opposed, that motion carries unanimously. I understand that somebody has requested a hold on Senate Bill 218. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
I'm looking at you.
Yes, I didn't know if you wanted to have a discussion first. I mean,
Well,
it's kind
yeah,
of up
okay,
for
why
if you
don't-
want to save the time, we could just go right to,
Well,
it's your
okay,
discretion,
why
Mr. Chair.
don't, let's just have a brief discussion. So one of the other things, let me point out, if we can do these holds, instead, we've been just like the routine is we vote Thursdays. But if we get, some bills that are being held and then you get some resolution, we can sneak in a couple of votes, at the end of a, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. There's nothing that says we can't. They don't have to be long, but I think some of these holds maybe lend themselves to, things get worked out. We don't have to wait till the following Thursday. We can just jam them out, in the middle of the week. So I'll just put that out there. But yeah, just give us the, if you want, you don't have to, but now that you opened the door. Yeah, why don't we, let's, Stacy, why don't you tell us what the bill does and then we'll take from there.
Senate Bill 218, State Superintendent of Schools, Prolonged State of Emergency Authority to Declare. This departmental bill authorizes the State Superintendent of Schools, rather than the governor, to declare a prolonged state of emergency for an event that prevents regular in-person attendance at a public school for at least 14 consecutive school days, thereby allowing a local school system to provide virtual instruction to affected students. The bill also specifies that nothing in the related subtitle may be construed to limit or interfere with the responsibilities of the Secretary of Health under Title 18 of the Health General article in the event of a public health emergency.
Senator Gallion, you want to weigh in a little bit?
Sure, and I was out, I missed this hearing, so I was trying to catch up. And I have some potential amendments that we have in drafting. One, I can give you kind of an overview of them. Of course, we don't have the actual amendments yet, but one would clarify qualifying emergency events. So it would have, that spelled out a little more clearly, which would provide, I think, more objective standards and reduce ambiguity. Also have one that would strengthen coordination and accountability. And that would help promote unified emergency management across state government. have another concept that would preserve local control through a local trigger. You know, if you've been on this committee with me, I'm always concerned about our locals. Another one that would limit the scope to affected local school systems, which would prevent unnecessary statewide disruption. So taken together, I'd like to clearly define the emergency triggers, require coordination with state leadership, ensure local school systems drive declarations, and limit the scope of authority to affected jurisdictions. So I'd like to get this drafted and be able to run this past run this past so they can kind of look at it, and maybe they'll like them, maybe they won't, but that's why I wanted to.
Okay, we don't have to go any further. I think that just gave us our big picture overview. Okay, that bill is being held. Let's go back up to the top with Senate Bill 56. Stacy, why don't you describe what Senate Bill 56 does?
Senate Bill 56, Maryland Longitudinal Data System Center, external data sharing with third-party data centers for multi-state reporting authorization. This departmental bill authorizes the governing board of the Maryland Longitudinal Data System Center to allow the center to provide individual-level student and workforce data to a third-party data center only to enable multi-state research and reporting on student outcomes. Before authorizing a transfer of data, the board must ensure the third-party data center handles data in accordance with specified standards. Before providing data to a third-party data center, the center must enter into a written data sharing agreement that complies with the bill's security and privacy requirements, and the governing board must affirmatively approve the sharing of data elements that constitute each set, the sharing of each data set, and each proposed research or reporting project that seeks to use Maryland data. The bill also repeals language authorizing the board to allow the Maryland Longitudinal Data Center to send student information to the United States Census Bureau. There is one amendment offered by Senator Hester on page 2 of your packet.
Can I just, before we get to the Hester amendment, I want to, because Senator Carrozza had brought up another issue about a possible amendment dealing with the young adults with chronic health condition issue. And if you recall, Mr. Goldstein responded saying that this would not be a great vehicle because of HIPAA issues and the like. And we did review some of the legal limitations. And I will say that I think his testimony, having done a little research, that would be a problematic amendment for that reason because of the constraints of the law. So we're thinking that maybe other vehicles that are not subject to the same legal constraints when it talk about that particular issue that you raised. So I just wanted to put that out there because you did raise that topic.
Thank you for the follow-up. And what I also attempted to do is put Mr. Goldstein and Dr. Bagat in contact with each other, thinking that maybe if it's not an amendment to this bill, there might be other ways they can work together.
Right.
And then if we can also maybe find some other vehicles within this committee on how we can support students with these chronic health conditions.
Correct. So I guess my point is I don't think this is that, and maybe they can figure something out. Okay, with that said, let's describe what the Hester amendment to Senate Bill 56 does.
Senator Hester's amendment would require a data sharing agreement entered into by the center to be subject to the approval of the state chief data officer and the state chief privacy officer.
Senator Hester, you want to describe it? Now, I will note maybe at 4:44 p.m. there's a response from Mr. Goldstein about, and essentially saying, that the amendment is unnecessary, but I'm not weighing in one way or the other. I'm just saying, have you seen this email? Just came in at 4:45.
I just
Okay.
saw it. I had encouraged them to talk to each other, and I think they just happened to do that today. I think we talked earlier today about AI and the data that the state has, we're still kind of cleaning it up and classifying it according to risks. I believe that the Maryland Longitudinal Data System Center has probably one of the best handles on our data out of all of our agencies. But in general, I mean, we heard a bill last year which got held, which is being reintroduced in the House, which tries to get at the governance of our state's data. And in that bill, it talks about data sharing agreements. And I just think, belts and suspenders. Let's have a couple people, look and make sure that we are not giving away our data. And these big tech companies, I think, can be really tricky, to work with. And so, I think we should share data where we can and where it's de-identified, but I personally would feel much more comfortable if these two people had a look at the data sharing. It doesn't say they can't do it. It says that they've got to look at the data sharing agreement, which I believe if the bill passes in the House, that's going to be standard for all future agencies as well. So I do think very highly of the Maryland Longitudinal Data Center, and they do have, this says that their governing board is fully capable of reviewing the data sharing agreement. It's got principals of agencies, and they've got lawyers, and they're advised by the Assistant Attorney General, and they've got a cybersecurity subcommittee. That's great, but I don't know, I just think we should be standard across the entire state. And so I would move my amendment.
Second.
Okay. What's the posture, just so I know, because this issue, what's the cross, is there a cross file on this one? I can't recall. There's. Okay, yeah, it's right on here. Okay, okay. Well, we have a motion and a second. Since there's a little pushback on this particular issue, why don't we just, so for clarity, we'll take a roll call so everybody gets to weigh in. Just everybody understand, I'm just trying to get it, because this email pushing back a little bit just came at 4:45. I just want to make sure that we fully understand, and not everybody saw this email. That's the only thing I'm raising. Okay. Yeah, well, we have a motion. Yeah, it's on the amendment. It's on the Hester amendment. And, but that said, we don't have to sit around and wait and debate it. We can, is there anything you want to add before we take a vote on the Hester amendment, Stacy?
No, I don't think it's not research for big tech companies. There's very specific research to be shared about very specific data. So I don't want people to get the impression that anybody who comes to them gets to share this data. It's very, very specific what they're asking for.
And is it the federal government, though?
No, they're looking to share between states. So they're looking like if Virginia, they want to compare student data outcomes or workforce outcomes between Virginia and Maryland. They're going to look at whatever this research is happening in Virginia, and it's going to be on a case-by-case basis. This isn't like an opening the gates. As he said, this in the center itself, it's very specific. It's, people who can get this data is very limited. It's not like it's just opening it up to any company who comes along and wants it. It's very, very specific.
Yeah, and like I said, I think the world of the Maryland Longitudinal Data Center. I just think that we should try to be consistent, and that if we have a chief data officer, she should review the data sharing agreements, that we have. So
Okay.
that's my position.
Okay. Senator Washington, you want to weigh in?
Going to concur that I think setting a precedent of doing this and being more careful is a good idea. So that's why I support it.
Okay. Any additional questions, comments, anything? Okay, we're on the Hester amendment that's in the packet. Let's just do a roll call so there's no confusion.
On the Hester amendment. Yes. Aye.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Senator Gallion, yes. Senator Watson? Yes. Senator Watson, yes. Senator Tarr? Yes. Senator Tarr, yes. Senator Harris?
What aye?
Senator Harris, yes. Senator Brooks?
Yes.
Senator Brooks, yes. Senator Carosa? Yes. Senator Carosa, yes. Senator Washington?
Yes.
Senator Washington, yes. Senator Salmonere?
Yes.
Salmonere, yes. Senator Felton?
Yes, so the amendment carries unanimously. We now have Senate Bill 56 as amended by the Hester amendment in front of us. Is there a motion? Okay, Senator Harris, favorable. Senator Washington with the second. Okay, all in favor, Senate Bill 56 as amended, raise your hand. All opposed? Anybody opposed? I didn't see. You raise your hand? You're good? Mary, where are you? Where's Senator Washington? Is your hand up or down?
I support it.
Okay. The bill carries unanimously as amended, Senate Bill 56, which brings us to our final bill of the day, Senator Washington, Senate Bill 225, Yeah, Senate Bill 225.
Senate Bill 225, Environment, Interjurisdictional Watersheds, Flood Management. This bill, in accordance with Comar 26.17.02.07 and Section 5-503 of the Environment Article, designates the following 4 watersheds and all their headwaters and tributaries as interjurisdictional flood hazard watersheds. Carroll Creek in Frederick City and Frederick County, Gwynns Falls in Baltimore City and Baltimore County, Jones Falls in Baltimore City and Baltimore County, and Herring Run in Baltimore City and Baltimore County. The bill also requires the Maryland Department of the Environment to designate the Patapsco River as an interjurisdictional flood hazard watershed. There is an amendment on your desk. It's separate from the voting packet from Senator Washington. The amendment strikes the provision relating to the Patapsco River and instead requires the Department of the Environment to review the Patapsco River watershed for possible inclusion as an interjurisdictional flood hazard watershed in accordance with an existing regulatory requirement. Additionally, I've been notified that Senator Hester is interested in being added as a co-sponsor by amendment.
Okay. Well, before we take up the Hester sponsor amendment, let's just talk about the Washington amendment and what you're attempting to do here, so we could have an understanding before
Yes.
we...
So if in my conversations with MBDE, so what we're doing is the bill is identical to what we passed last year. Last year, there was a request to add the Patapsco. You heard some testimony about the Patapsco River. We know about that there's flooding issues there, and so I thought we'll just add it. I do thank Mr. Ballantyne for sending the letter that we all got, recognizing that, hey, there's a process for this. So what my amendment does is it doesn't just writ large administratively say that this shall be, but it does tell the department, MDE, to go take a look, confer with the, we'll follow all the regulations, conferring with the, which would include conferring with local government, with engineers. And frankly, I believe that that achieves my goal, which would be that there would be some collaborative discussion about whether or not to include it and protect potential impacts. So that's what the amendment does. It doesn't declare it writ large, but just requires the department to consider it.
Okay, well, one question that I've just got to put it out, because of the amendment now, see, I think this is Maryland Department of Environment, and I do think you need clarity. What's the fiscal note implications of the amendment? In other words, they had sort of taken a position that as long as they don't have to actually do anything, there's no fiscal note. The question of whether, well, let me just finish, because I think this is where they're coming from. I just have to put it on the table. When we say the department shall review, it is suggesting that I think we need to have clarity, because we've been told anything that has any fiscal note on one of the departments, we need to be able to quantify it. And we need to know that, because if it passes a certain threshold, we got to go to B&T. So the language looks innocuous about the department shall review. I think MDE is has said and may say that involves a whole process by which, I'm sorry. Yeah, can I call him up here? Or? Sure.
Jeremy.
Well, here, Jeremy, come on up here.
Timing is.
Have you, I mean, this is, I think, it's, part of the voting session process, right? So Senator Washington has proffered an amendment, and it states the department shall review the Patapsco River watershed for possible inclusion. Why don't you, yes, Vice Chair, just give him the language.
My job.
And one of the questions, I guess I'll just put it out there, and, is this, as a consequence of this, would there be a fiscal note on MDE, and if so, how much? And I think you just need to know that. And that, I don't have an answer, it's just a question.
Well, Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm sorry, I was just kind of checking on the, I was just walking by, but happy I could answer your questions. For the record, Jeremy Baker.
Was this like randomly? I mean, literally, you were just walking by when I was talking about MDE?
I knew there was a voting session, and I was, across the hall, so I thought I'd pop in.
It's kind of creepy.
Well, thank you. For the record, Jeremy Baker, Director of Government Affairs at MDE. There probably would be some fiscal impact. It's been quite some time since the department has done a comprehensive review of a watershed in this way. Most of them were done in the 80s and 90s after the aftermath of Hurricane Agnes. And so I would have to check to get you an answer on approximately how much that would cost.
I mean, we don't have to do anything. I mean, we could, I'm not comfortable without at least having an answer to that. We can't really.
But just let's talk about this. So if they come back and say it costs $300,000, or if they come back and say, the point is there is flooding there. The point is that they are supposed to periodically review. If they haven't done that for 30 years, then I think they have 30 years of savings that they, that this is something that's needs to be done. There has been property damage. There are businesses that are impacted. It is an interjurisdictional waterway. So, yeah, I mean, if we vote, we could hold it and vote on 2, but I can guarantee you that there'll be other, perhaps, reasons and folks will come up why we can't do it.
Okay, just, again, just as part of the conversation, you put this amendment in for a reason. It was in response to the email we got from Mr. Ballantyne, in the bill as is, they were opposed to. So this was an attempt. I'm just trying to put it all on the table. I'm not suggesting you withdraw anything. I'm just saying that we could take this up on Tuesday. I'd like to at least have some clarity about this amendment,
Well,
and if it has a fiscal note.
I guess what I'm saying is, if it has a fiscal note, what does that mean?
Well, it means we have to go to the Budget and Tax Committee
And
for.
if it's over $100,000,
Well-
or whatever that means, it just goes away.
No, that's not true. We have bills over 100,000. We just are required to get the Budget and Tax Committee to approve it. It's not, that's the trigger for the committee. We have to get anything, and for everybody here, if we have any bills here that have a fiscal note over 100 grand, we have to go get requests, sign off from B&T. And we have things on the queue already. Devin, am I correct? I mean, I'm looking for some validation here. I don't want everybody to think I'm just making this up.
No, I know.
Chair, you have bills in the B&T queue.
Okay. So if it comes in at 99,000, then we don't have to do anything with B&T. If it comes in at, 102, then we ought to go to B&T. That's the issue I'm raising with the amendment. That's all I'm saying.
I understand. I also have a question. If they haven't done it in 30 years, how do they know how much it will cost?
Okay, well, I don't know. What analysis would you do, Mr. Baker, to give us some guesstimate about, it's a legit question.
Yeah, I would have to talk to our Water and Science Administration about exactly how much it would cost. It's my understanding that a lot of these reviews are currently done by the counties, and we just review their review. And so it's not a practice that we're currently engaged in most jurisdictions. The local environmental department will look at it, and then we will.
You've got the amendment. You now have it. Could you just take it back and then report back to Senator Washington about what you determined, and then she can make a determination about pushing the amendment, not pushing the amendment? I just need to know. We need to know.
Okay, so I understand. It's fine to come back, and it's important for us to get all of the information. I just continue to resist having our policy decisions in the public interest needing to be just simply checked for their cost in certain situations.
You take that up. There's other people you may have to take that up with.
No,
I can't.
I know. I'm just saying for the record that everything has a cost. The Potomac is currently, they're spewing how much, 1,000, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars are being lost now because of the storm, that there has not been regulation, that the drains haven't been addressed. That Howard County now is, soon we'll probably see this, to drain off the water from from Ellicott City is now being drained into Baltimore County and into the businesses into Anne Arundel County. So I'm fine with us checking, but I also think that there are costs, so just the cost of an agency to do its job, something that it's supposed to do, versus the public interest in what we're supposed to do as legislators. So just wanted that as.
I'm just
as a
giving you the
concern.
rules of the
I
road this
understand.
session, that's all I'm telling you, Senator Washington. Okay, let's hold this, and Mr. Baker, you're going to look into this and get back to Senator Washington?
Yes.
On Senate Bill, 225, and that will be held, and that completes our work for today and for the week. One final note. So are we going to, what do we do? Do we wish her any, are we going to sing? What are we going to do here? Okay, who wants to start off here? Birthday.